Hello. Hi, how are you, my friends and family? It is Thursday, so I'm here for some Radiant Wrap. Radiant is my acronym for how we can shine our best with rest, activity awareness, diet, introspection, which is prayer and meditation, water, in my agua, note taking, which is journaling, and training, like physically working our body. So let me go ahead and take a sip of this. You see things floating in my water. I just sometimes, if I get bored with water, then I will put in here whatever. So whatever fruit I have, and this is just some limes and some grapes. So that's all that is. All right, so hope your week is going well. I wanted to share with you today a little bit about my experience with readiness and commitment. And the fact that, in order for there to be any change, you have to be ready. You have to have a commitment. You have to make that commitment. And I know you know that, right? But you can be ready and you can make a commitment. Like you can be committed today. But it's still okay. And more than likely what will happen is that you'll have setbacks and then you'll have to reset. And that's been true for me. And I'm sure it is for a lot of you as well. And what I just want to encourage you to, just not give up. Doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried. I'm still a work in progress. You're still a work in progress. You wouldn't even be here, right? Seriously, you wouldn't be here alive today, breathing, if there wasn't still purpose for you. When I was young, a lot younger, like elementary school, even going into middle school, I was athletic. I could run. I was fast, especially for long distance running. And I had coordination, so I could play volleyball. I could play basketball, but I never really committed. I never worked on those skills a lot. And I didn't have a lot of opportunity. Just things, life was just happening. And I did have responsibilities, but also I got off course. And I got distracted. And by the time I was 15, 16, I was smoking cigarettes. And any of you who've ever smoked, you know that the first time you pick up a cigarette, you're not good at it. You don't even like it. You have to really work at liking smoking. But I guess the rebellion and the anger and the other stuff that was going on with me, that is the path that I took. Fortunately, I was okay in some other areas, like academically. So I did well, graduated from college and got a good job and things like that. But I was still quite a bit of a mess emotionally, physically, because I wasn't honoring and taking care of my body. And it wasn't until, so years went by, it wasn't until I started having children. Oh, and I was getting high, smoking weed. Those were my drugs of choice, caffeine, Cokes, sodas. I didn't, go that other harder drugs, which a lot of people that I know and knew did. But it wasn't because, I don't know, God just spared me that. That's all I can say, that I didn't get into. I tried some of that stuff, but I didn't get into it. Like, it didn't get me. It was just God's grace that it didn't. Okay. And so it wasn't until I was starting to have kids that for 6 years, 6 whole years, like, I stopped smoking weed. Because I don't know, for some of you, I guess your experience with it, I mean, obviously, we've wanted it to be legal and stuff like that. So some of you are having a good experience with it. But for me, it was always, even with nicotine, even with smoking weed, it was always chasing that high, trying to get to that, utopia high. That's what, and I know with even, any drugs, that's typically you're trying to get back to that one time you got that good high and you're trying to get back to that. But for me, weed made me paranoid, procrastinate, lazy. It was not a fact, a brain fog. And the paranoia was real, so I very rarely tired, lethargic. So anyways, I never went back to that. But when I had a stressful time in my life, 6 years after I had initially stopped smoking cigarettes, I started smoking again. Okay. So I was ready when I quit, I was ready. I was committed, right? But it is a daily grind, whatever it is that you want to do. You ever have something that you really want to do, right? You really, okay, I'm ready. I want this. And I think I'm committed. I mean, has that been you ever? Or maybe it's, I don't know if I could commit. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to right now, at whatever level you can, because it is a day by day, inch by inch, sometimes change and grind. So 6 years after I had stopped smoking, it was stress and trauma in my life, and I picked it up again. I didn't go back to the weed, but I did pick up cigarettes. Whew. And it was, I would say, in some ways, and this isn't everybody's experience, but in some ways, it was just as hard, maybe even harder than when I quit the first time. So you think you did it the first time, you can do it again, which you always have that. So whatever you did before, if you did it, you can do it again. So definitely keep that in mind. Do what you can. All right. So second, but this was hard. It was still hard. I was still tripping, like trying to, and now I had kids. Hey, good to see you too. And some people, Laura, thank you. And some people have already heard, my story or this part of my story, but a lot of you haven't, right? So I had to hide I didn't want my kids to know. So now and I hated it. That's I didn't even like the fact that I was doing it. You ever do something that you're doing something that is harming you, or it's not good for you, it's not serving you, but you're still doing it anyway. Yeah, I know I'm not the only one. I'm not. I can't be the only one, right? So how do you get to a point where, all right, it's now? Well, today is the day where at least I'm thinking about making the change, right? I'm at least considering it. I'm thinking and I'm imagining it. And I absolutely encourage you to do that. Like when you're feeling like, okay, am I ready? Maybe I'm ready a little bit. I'm somewhat committed. do what you can that day. So that's my first point, is be in now. In yoga, they call it atha, the readiness and a commitment. And it's all about right now, because you have to really recommit every single day. And so thank God, after learning, I had like so many other internal issues going on. And one of them was just really being so down on myself all the time. And once I got over that and just kept telling myself, even in the midst of me screwing up every day, like, or every week, I buy a pack of cigarettes and then, smoke one, crumble them all up. I mean, anybody who's been on that nicotine journey, and probably some other journeys too, you know what that's like, alcohol, whatever your issue is, pornography, the anger issues, okay, I make that commitment. I'm ready now. I'm going to stop. And then you screw up. You go right back into that behavior. Those behaviors. Well, you keep working on the internal you. Okay. So whether it's, I need to start exercising, I want to get on my mat, I want to do yoga, or even in your relationships, I want to do better in my relationships. I want to stop going off on people. I want to resolve. I want, like, one of the things for me is, that I still work on. So is being defensive, right? So I want to work on not being so defensive, and so just to finish that part of the story, 20 years ago, so it happened for me along with my journey, my fitness journey. That was the last time that I picked up a cigarette, and like I said, for me, I didn't pick up marijuana or anything like that again. And I knew that even if I wanted to, if I tried, it would probably lead me back to smoking cigarettes again. It finally dawned on me is, you know what? You can't go there. You can't do it recreationally. And why do you even want to? I hated the way I smelled. I didn't, I had to perfume it all up. And those of you that think you're covering it up with perfume and brushing your teeth, you're not. I mean, you can smell it, right? But I know now there's vaping and stuff like that. And it's all, listen, I'm not saying any of these, hey, mommy, I'm not saying any of these things to judge where you are, okay? That's the last thing. What I'm sharing with you so that you know that, like, if you're looking at maybe me and saying, oh, well, that's not me. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I got things going on with me that she didn't have. No, we all have stuff that we have to overcome. I don't care if it's the most together person, they got issues. Trust me. And they've gotten better, but if we're still alive, we're still having to evolve. There's still more that is required. And to whom much is given. So if you have accomplished whatever, then there's still more for you to do. Right, Mom? Yeah. So number one, do what you can today, now, for being ready and committed. This is what I'm going to commit to. And this is even if you cannot stop right now, like you don't feel like you have it in you to do, just continue to think about, I am going to do it. I have greatness inside of me. I will be able to do it. And that's where my self-talk started to change. I can do it. I am able. I am strong. I am capable of doing this. With God's help, all things are possible and all that. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the church, so I had learned like a lot of things and believed, that is maybe for you, it's a different, but for me, it was, I knew Jesus, but I'm still caught in this thing, right? So eventually it just fell away. It really just fell away. And I'm so grateful. I don't crave it. I don't think about it. And I'm sure over there were times when I would, but especially in the beginning, it will pass. It just would pass, And so you just start where you are. So that's number one. Number two, focus on what you can control. So if it is with relationships, and a lot of what I was doing, like a lot of my bad habits, a lot of my addiction was because of other things, or started because I was using it as coping mechanisms for other things that were going on in my life, a lot of which I couldn't even control, right? So the only thing that ultimately you can control is you. Now, if you're listening to me right now and you're like, you know what, it's not me that I need to work on, I think we all should be taking personal responsibility of taking care of ourselves, but it's somebody else that you want to impact. It's someone else that you feel, really needs the help. Well, tell you a secret, you constantly telling them what they need to do and trying to lecture them into doing it or guilt them into doing it, it's not going to work. Or scare them into doing it, it's not going to work. It absolutely, it might work for a little bit, but until that person has it within themselves that is what they want to do, you're not going to be able to change someone else. Nobody can, only you. So focus on what you can control. Do what you can today, now, right? Now, do what you can, even if you're not there yet. Number two, focus on what you can control, right? Number three, surround yourself with a village. Surround yourself with people that will support you. You're not sure where that is, ask me. I'm a good connector. I know somebody that, if I don't know them personally, I know somebody that knows somebody. I promise you that. Okay. And with that said, try to, if in your mind you're saying, everyone's against me, nobody will understand this, everyone will judge me on this. No, that's not true. There are people that are willing and want to help you. Yes, there are people that are judging you too, and that want you to fail. I know that there's people probably, that look for whatever imperfections that they can find, whatever faults that they can find. Even me right now, probably at least one person will look at this and talk about how my conversation is not good enough, or I don't look good enough, or whatever. The people that do that are judging whatever is, first of all, no one really, we have enough going on that's not right with us that we don't need to be, besides having compassion and empathy and helping one another, we don't need to just be looking at other people and judging them, right? And those people that do, that's making them feel better for their inadequacies. Trust me and believe. If there are people that are just judging you for what you're doing wrong, then, and they're not focusing on what they have to focus to correct, they are making themselves feel better, because we all have inadequacies, right, mommy? Yes, we all have inadequacies. And so just understand that everyone isn't judging you. That's all really I wanted to share today. Um, the In yoga, well, because I am doing some training where I'm increasing my hours. It's yoga teaching. It's like a 500-hour course. So one of the things that we're charged to do is learn about these principles. It's called Yoga Sutras. And it's so nice because it just goes along with the practical principles. It's philosophy, basically, yoga philosophy. And so one of them is Atha, and that is your readiness and your commitment. And as I thought about that, I just wanted to encourage, yeah, we need to be ready. And until you're ready, I remember one of my friends years ago when I had to really make a big decision, huge decision. And every day I was like, really focused on this decision. Well, there's only so many people. If you're right now the person that's going around like to different people about your problem, and you're going to this one, to that one, to this one, this counselor, to that counselor, and expecting a different answer, and they're all giving you pretty much the same answer, then it's probably something that you want to be open to. Like if it's something that they're telling you that you need to work on or look at in a different way, right? And also, because this was a problem of mine. This was a problem of mine too. If I had a problem, then when I was young, this is probably for a lot of younger people, I wanted, and maybe older ones too, I wanted the answer right now. This is my situation. Tell me how to fix it right now. Especially when it involves other people or even yourself. Most often, things aren't going to be turned around like immediately. It's not going to be fixed immediately. It's just not how it happens. And so that was very frustrating. I wanted it to be fixed, and some things just take time. I want us to have a conversation and then it's boom, done. It's fixed. It don't work that way. We have to take time to, and other people might need space, and you need space and growth. So it's a daily grind. It's a day by day experience. So fast forward to 2021, and I'm not saying this is what your journey needs to be. It doesn't. But I was still very much addicted to caffeine. Like, and I just saw one of my friends just posted, one of my colleagues just posted, like, what's wrong with people that don't drink coffee? Weirdos. And I was just like, so I typed jokingly, yeah, I'm one of the weirdos now, because I just stopped drinking coffee this year. It wasn't something that was good for me and my body right now in my life. Now, there's not trying to get into a debate over whether caffeine is, I'm talking about for me. And yeah, this year I gave up meat. I gave up seafood. I gave all that up. Whether or not I'll go back, I don't think I'll go back to meat ever. Whether I'll go back to seafood, I don't know. Whether I go back to caffeine, drinking coffee, I don't know. But for this period of my life, it was almost, I was inspired to do it. And I know it was a progression that led to that. I mean, I'm talking slow, like with the coffee, because I remember drinking coffee with so much creamer and so much sugar that I don't know how many, at least for a cup of coffee, I probably put 4 teaspoons at one time in my life of sugar. And then I went to 3 teaspoons, and then 2, and then 1. And then I was drinking coffee with no sugar, just creamer. right? And then I didn't want the coffee mate stuff. And then I was very peculiar about what coffee I drank. And then I just gave it up. So I'm not saying that that is your journey. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we're all a work in progress and a progression. And I have I'm going to claim that, a very addictive like personality. And so certain things in my, that I would put in my body, I felt like I had to have, I can't function without it. And so I'm still that way with cashews and pistachios, just nuts in general. It's like, I want to have those, but it's a little bit different. So does anyone have any questions, whether you're watching now live or you're watching later? Then put it in the chat. And if you definitely put in the chat, if you are working on something, you're ready and you're committed, maybe you're not sure how long the commitment will be or how long, just take one. It only requires one little step. It might even be the thought in your mind. I am going to go for this change. Okay. So the 4 things was work, do what you can. All right. Start where you are. Do what you can. Focus on what you can control. And surround yourself with your village, your community, with people that love you and can support you and help you. Set aside, don't focus on the naysayers. They're out there, but don't focus on them because they're dealing with their own stuff and that's why they may be attacking you. All right? All right, I love you. There's not a thing that you can do about it. Nope, nothing, zilch. You have greatness inside of you and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.